All praises belong to the Almighty Allah. May His peace and blessings be upon the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, his household followers, and all those who follow the path of Allah to the day of judgment. I give all of you Barakat Salah rather belatedly. 3.5 weeks ago, Ramadan ended. We celebrated the Eid. This afternoon's khutbah will focus on Ramadan being personified. And we are drawing on the life of Sayyidina Yaqub. And I will peep into what Ramadan would have told us as a human being at the time of his departure. Sayyidina Yaqub, in Quran chapter 2, Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings to our knowledge in the form of a question. And Allah states, Am kuntum shuhada'a idh hadara Yaqub al-maut? That were you alive? Were you witnesses to the time death visited Sayyidina Yaqub? Allah is asking us. إِذْ قَالَ لِبَنِيهِ, when he asked his children, مَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِنْ بَعْدِي, then what are you going to worship after me? All his children around him. And he asked them, what are you going to worship after me? I presume that Sayyidina Yaqub might have had some properties, physical assets. He was not worried about the physical assets. He was concerned about the kind of ibadah that his children will be putting up after his departure. Some of us, we may not have the courage to ask our children such a question, because while we are alive, because we did not take the trouble to inject Islamic discipline into our children, while we are alive, the children are wayward in front of us. So we may not even have the courage to ask them, because the answer that will come from them will be so painful that it may increase our worries at the time of our departure. The children's response, very heartwarming. It brings tranquility to the heart and mind. They said, قالوا نعبد إلهك وإله أباك. نعبد إلهك وإله أبائك. That we will worship, that is the response of the children. We would worship your Lord and the Lord of your forefathers. Interestingly, the rest of the answer, that we worship your Lord, the rest of the answer is all emphasis. We worship your Lord and the Lord of your forefathers, Ibrahim, Ismail, wa Ishaq. It only points out that there was a generational legacy that had been handed down for them throughout history. That family and those who lived before the time of Sayyidina Yaqub, all of them were worshippers of Allah. So Sayyidina Yaqub wanted to know, are you going to follow that path, or you are going to follow a different path? And they assured their father, we are going to worship your Lord and the Lord of your forefathers. I think that Allah brought this story to our knowledge for us to pick lessons from it, because these children had been well trained by Sayyidina Yaqub. You and I, what are we doing with our children? It is sad to indicate that some homes are grooming their own enemies. You will be in the house, your child will come and tell you right in your face, that is no more practicing Islam. Some of us, while we are alive, because we don't give these children the attention they deserve, the father is empty. He doesn't have Islamic knowledge. The mother is empty. She doesn't have Islamic knowledge. The Arabs say, فَاقِدُ الشَّيْءِ لَا يُعْطِيهِ. That anyone who doesn't have cannot give. So if the father is empty of Islamic knowledge, the mother is empty of Islamic knowledge, and they are not striving to acquire it, if they do not have, how can they impart to their children? Even the few times that we make the effort to send them to Makaranta over the weekends, they go for Tawheed, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. But when they come home, the kind of programs they watch on television rob off everything they have acquired from the Makaranta. If you open television, nudity, you see clearly men and women who are almost naked. Films that we watch with our children. It will be difficult to groom a child to love Allah when over the weekend he watches programs, TV programs from Nigeria. And all that they do is to project wealth as everything in life. And when they want to make wealth, they employ every means, including going to juju men. And the juju man on television will try to exhibit powers. With that act, that person is challenging the power of Allah that the child has gone to Makaranta and has been injected with. Sayyidina Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam did his best for his children. He groomed them to be pious children. He groomed them to be very wonderful children in terms of commitment to Allah's path. So he had the courage to ask them, what are you going to worship after me? And the best legacy anyone can leave with a child, it's not the number of houses, it's not the number of cars, it's not a number of figures, high figures in terms of dollars and pounds in an account. That is not the legacy for a child. We have come across some individuals who are very wealthy, but because they left behind children who were wayward, degenerated individuals, they squandered the wealth. 2-3 years after the death of the man, you ask, the children do not have anything in their account. Ramadan was leaving us. And if Ramadan had been a human being, we ask, how would he have addressed us? He would have simply said, I am going, the month of grace, the month of compassion, the month of ibadah, I am leaving you. The month of Al-Quran, I am going. How is your life, you and I, going to be after me? Ramadan speaking. Are you going to continue with the normal ibadah you have been intensively doing in this great month? Or you are going to abandon it? The picture out there is not good for us. Gradually, Muslims are becoming seasonal worshippers of Allah. Where I stay in Accra, we have a mosque there. We have about men and women side 27 lines. Outside Ramadan, Fajr, you get only 3 lines. During Ramadan, I led the prayer, Fajr prayer. The 27 lines were filled. Outside was filled. So after Ramadan, after Salah, I asked them, were you people dead somewhere and now you are alive? Or you had gone into some hibernation and you have now been injected with life, so you are here. How can we be behaving hypocritically like this? Here Imam Shafi'i, he says that any act that a person puts up, and he was addressing Muslims, that a person puts up, which at the end of the day will incur him the punishment of Allah, he says it's a stupid act. The Imam bluntly used the word stupid. Before Ramadan, 2 days before Ramadan, Alhaji Isaku, I'm using my own name so that nobody will say that Sheikh Nuamah used my name at the mosque. Maybe he was talking about me. 2 days before Ramadan, Alhaji Isaku calls the wife Fatih. Meanwhile, I have Fatih also in the house, so it's not you. Calls Fatih. Fatih Zoran, come over here. Dubamin Quran and nagon kura ya bukash. Check for me. I can see my Quran has been covered by dust. What it means is that the man throughout the year was not reading the Quran. And at the end of the khutbah, that is the legacy Ramadan would like us to take. Immediately after Ramadan, Quran reading is over. He sends it back to where it was before Ramadan. And Kura, dust, will beat it well for the next 360 days or 61 days. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, Islam is not a religion that wants that to be jokers. Islam is a religion that wants its followers to be serious Muslims. Hear the words of Umar ibn Khattab. He spoke to a gathering in Medina. His sense of responsibility was so high. As a leader of the Islamic State, he addressed them in the following manner: that my sense of God consciousness and my sense of responsibility is so high that I think that if a sheep in Syria, 3,000 kilometers away from Medina, dies over there, I think Allah will ask me. We are bringing forth to children, day in, day out. And I always say that when your wife delivers and you do the naming ceremony, you can see joy all over. As a father and mother, find a corner in your house and pray silently for the newly born baby. Because we are living in an age where when you drop a child, don't be overfilled with joy. Just share some sadness in your heart and pray for Allah's protection for this newly born baby. Because we are living in the world of wolves, where ideas are competing for space in the minds of human beings. Ideas are just hitting and hard on daily basis. Our children are visiting the net for filthy information. And this information is not for nothing. It is to make sure that the child toes a particular line of thinking in life. So Ramadan has left us and is asking us how our life is going to be. You and I will know that Ramadan would have recommended just one thing: that the Quran should be taken as our best friend. The Quran should be the source of thinking for us. Quran, this book, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it many descriptions in itself. Allah says, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَاب, that book. The word ذَلِك is Ismul Ishara in Arabic, demonstrative pronoun in Arabic, in English. It connotes the fact that the book Allah is talking about is known by mankind. And that is a book of guidance. Hudan lil muttaqin, for those who fear Allah. Allah also describes this in Surah Al-Isra, Quran 17. إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ. That this book leads to that which is upright. What this verse means is that if you want guidance, it is the Quran. If you want enlightenment in the mind, spirit, and body, it is the Quran. Scholars who are not Muslims have taken the trouble. There is a book written by Orientalists on the Quran. Do you know why they take the trouble to study the Quran? Arnold Arbery, he's a translator of the Quran. He said this book, sometimes some of the non-Muslims, when they are giving description to the Quran, you marvel, why are they not Muslims? He says this is a book of magic. Meaning, if you read it, you will definitely be convinced by the book. It doesn't mean that you do miracles with it. And it is absolutely correct. Anyone who has taken the trouble and read the Quran from time to time and given it attention and reflecting upon its content, the kind of enlightenment that will befall on the self is unimaginable. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala poses the question in the Quran, in Surah Muhammad. Quran chapter 47. Allah asked, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Wouldn't they reflect on the book, or there are padlocks on their hearts? Sometimes somebody will read the Quran, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, then he drops it on the chest. The Quran is not a book for the chest. Somebody will drop it on the head. The Quran is not a book for the head. The content in that book is a book for reflection, for thinking, so that the thoughts that will emanate from the thinking you do from the Quran will be translated into character, will be translated into critical values of life. This book, Maurice Bucaille, that great French neurosurgeon, he did a comparative study of the Quran and the Bible. And he wrote his famous book, The Bible, the Quran, and Science. In that book, after doing some scientific analysis of the Quran and the Bible, he was marveled at the scientific contents in that great book. And he paused and made the following comment. On page 124 of the book, he said, the above hypothesis, that is the arguments he had put across, the above hypothesis makes the Quran, the claim that Muhammad was the author of the Quran, untenable, unacceptable. How can a man deliver scientific facts in an age that age had not had access to that knowledge? So who gave him that knowledge? More specifically, Quran chapter 21 verse 30, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran points out what physicists came to tell us as the Big Bang. When we study physics in the SS. Maurice Bucaille reflected on this verse in Quran chapter 21 verse 30, where Allah says, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ أَفَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. That having the disbelievers realize that the sky and the earth were one mass, and we broke them asunder. Yusuf Ali's translation. Modern translation, they say we separated them. Today, they are telling us in physics that the sky and the earth were one mass. But they say that there was an explosion. They use the word explosion to explain the phenomenon. But it is quite obvious. If you use the word explosion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cut them pants down because they use the wrong word. Do you see order after an explosion? If there is an explosion, you only see disorder. This building, may Allah forbid, if a dynamite is dropped into it, and boom, you see doors going in different directions, windows going in different directions. That is what you see as a result of an explosion. But they are telling us in science that there was an explosion, and the sky went up there, and the earth came down here, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fixed nitrogen, which is a source of life, like oxygen, at a particular percentage, 21 point something. And it has remained so since the time of Sayyidina Adam up to date. If there is a shift, no matter how minimal it is, the entire universe will collapse. But Allah has kept that at a particular percentage. So Maurice Bucaille asks, where is this knowledge coming from? Subhanallah, this is a great book. Then he went and picked another scientific fact from Surah to Zumar, Quran 39 verse 6. Allah says, يَخْلُقُكُمْ فِي بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ خَلْقًا مِنْ بَعْدِ خَلْقٍ. That Allah said that he one stage of development to another, فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ ثَلَاثٍ, in 3 places of darkness. At that time, even olden days, they only said three places of darkness. Nobody understood the three places of darkness. But modern science, according to Maurice Bucaille, has helped us to know that the three places of darkness are the three places where Allah causes the development of the human embryo in the womb of a woman. So the first darkness is the abdominal membrane. The abdominal membrane is a cavity in the womb of a woman in which the womb rests. So that if there is, and it's cushioned, such that if there is an external shock, physical shock, it will not affect the developing embryo. The second place of darkness is the uterus itself. And the third place of darkness is the placenta. But the Quran mentioned only three places of darkness, and science is explaining to us today. So Maurice Bucaille asks, where did Muhammad get this knowledge from? He could only acquire this knowledge through instructive teaching by the Creator himself. Who knows at that time what he had created? My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, the Quran is a book that has to be our friend. That is the best friend we can have. Morning after Fajr, spend only 10 minutes to read it. If you can't read it, slot in a pen drive or a CD and listen to it. If you listen to it, make sure you listen to the translation if you do not understand the Arabic text. And before you and I go to bed, let's spend some time, 10 minutes. Read the book before we sleep. The solace that drops on the self, the tranquility of mind, heart, and spirit that will generate in the body is unimaginable. This kind of character that we are telling ourselves that we have to cultivate, you cannot get the feeling in a day. I always say that the fear of Allah is not something that is in a shop you go and buy and put in your head. You develop it over time. So small ibadah that will accumulate in the self as you move along with your life. At a point, you start to feel some serenity in your heart. You begin to feel some peace in your mind. Not that you will not have challenges or worries in life. Your business may even fall. Your wife may die. But because of the build-up of that character of Iman, by reading the Quran, your heart will be in a state of peace and tranquility from the Creator and not from yourself. As we read the Quran, I would suggest we do some 2 rak'ah, particularly if you are going to bed. The Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, once asked Bilal that I had heard your footprint in Jannah. What is the special thing that you have been doing with your life? Then Bilal said, before I go to bed every night, I perform 2 rak'ah before I sleep. And this single act, because it's consistent, because what Allah loves is the kind of ibadah, no matter how small it is, that you do on daily basis. So Bilal had opted for 2 rak'ah before he goes to bed. And his footprint was heard by the Messenger of Allah in Jannah. Another person who the Prophet also said that if you want to, he was in the mosque. And this young man had gone out and was coming to the mosque. And the Prophet told the Sahaba, if you want to see somebody who is going to Jannah, go out there and see Abdullah bin Amr. Then one of the Sahaba wanted to know what was the special thing that this young man was doing in his life that had earned him Jannah. When the young man went, he thought that the gentleman was just praying all night, even though it's one of the excellent characters one can do. Tahajjud, 2 a.m. when everybody is asleep, the person is up praying to the Almighty. The Prophet says that, do you want to do an act that will grant you Jannah? Then the Sahaba said, it is Allah and His Messenger who knows. Then he said, pray at night, post-midnight prayer, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., wake up and do even just 2 rak'ah. 2 rak'ah. He said, Sallu wa nasu niyam, pray when people are asleep. So this young man thought that Abdullah bin Amr was praying all night. He went, he didn't see that. So the following morning he asked him, a young man, what have you been doing that has won you heaven? And the Prophet has pointed it out to us. The young man said, as I'm walking on the surface of the earth, I don't think evil of anybody. When I'm going to bed, my mind is empty of any bad thoughts about anybody. My heart is like white calico. I don't harbor any ill feelings against any human being on the surface of the earth. And that is one of the best characters of a good Muslim. Now back to the Quran. I will end this khutbah with a personal experience. I want to share, I feel passionate about sharing it with you because it relates to the Quran. I have my second born. He has problem with his sight. So he brought in a young boy of 14 years to help him do his chores in the house. The young man came to the house. He wasn't a Muslim. A week later, he said he wanted to be a Muslim. So he became a Muslim. We gave him a name. But let me tell you, Allah is great too. This young man, young boy, became more serious about Islam even than my own children. The order in my house is that by 4:30 everybody should be up, prepare ourselves for Fajr. This young boy will wake up 4 a.m. and wake everybody up. Then last year, around January, I received a call from Hajjah that this boy had said he wouldn't be a Muslim again. It hit me like rock. And you know, some of us, because we are polygamous, our legs are at different places at a particular time. So I was with my second wife and Hajjah, Warajida called. I said, Madam, tomorrow morning after Fajr, I'll come to the house. I got there, this young boy, that means at the time, last year, he was 18 or 19. He had stayed with us for about 5 years. Then, I invited him. I said, hey, gentlemen, are you the one who is saying you won't be a Muslim again? He said, yes, Islam ain't me mwame. Huh? This young boy, very respectful. Anytime he's talking to me, his two hands behind him. And he will bow his head down, addressing me. But that morning, he was looking at me, eye to eye. And the two hands hanging by his sides. Then quickly, I realized that Al-Jinn had descended on him. So I said, go. The evening, we'll sort you out. The evening, I brought everybody in the house. Then we sat him down. Then I asked him, hey, gentlemen, are you the one who is saying you won't be a Muslim again? And the way he addressed me, Hajjah got annoyed. Hajjah was going to give him a slap. I said, Madam, stop. If you touch him, he will beat all of us, including myself. So Hajjah stopped. Then I asked the whole house to move out. The ladies, all of them should go out, except my 3 boys and their malam, 4. So we sat this boy down. Then we started reading Surah Al-Fatiha. You normally start with Surah Al-Fatiha 7 times. Then you go into Baqarah, you go into Yasin. It's a real battle. Then, when we got into Baqarah, his body started moving left and right, up and down. Then I told them that, please put him on the ground and hold him firmly. Because where he is now, he's stronger than all of us physically. So they brought him down, held him very firmly while I was reading the Quran. Then I realized that his voice had changed. So I decided to communicate with that voice. Then I asked him, who are you? Then he said, Miye Nana Checherba. That's my name is Nana Checherba. I didn't hear the name. So I said, Checherba. Then he said, Ad Nana. Allahu Akbar. Quran. If we joke with the Quran, we are joking with our lives. Any house where the Quran is played, according to the Prophet of Islam, it drives evil forces away from the house. So I had to go for a belt to hit him. This side, I hit him so many times. Then I asked him, are you leaving? It was quiet. Are you leaving? It was quiet. The 3rd time, he said, Minko. Then we continued. Till finally, he said, I'll go out. As soon as he said, I'll go out, I said, tell me you have gone out. They said, I'm gone. And his voice returned. The following morning, 4:45, I went to check whether he was still asleep, because when we finished the ruqya, he was sleeping. That was around 11 p.m. Then I told them that he would sleep for the next 2-3 hours. So they had to bundle him like this and send him to his room. So the morning I had to check on him. When I went 4:45, I saw him with the Buddha going to pray. I said, Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has helped us through. Quran, please. I'm bringing this story to emphasize that it is the book of life. It's a book of empowerment. It's a book of grace. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وبعد. This is a portion for prayer in every khutbah. And I want to make a special prayer for our brother and beloved Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. May Allah grant him our heart's wish that he becomes the next president of this republic. Yesterday, he delivered one of the heartwarming presentations at Alisa Hotel. Muslim World League organized a conference on minorities, and he delivered a paper there. He was a guest of honor, and he delivered a paper that touched our hearts. He showed concern for our plight in this country. It convinces some of us that this is the brother we need. He's on the right course to support our cause in this country. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him all the protection he needs. May Allah grant him the wisdom, the strength, protection from all evil forces that may come close to him. Those who will get close to him and harm him, may Allah send them away from him. May Allah grant him his heart's wish, protect his family and the family of all of us assembled here. Allahumma a'izz al-islam wal-muslimin, Allahumma a'izz al-islam wal-muslimin, wa'adhill al-shirka wal-mushrikin, ودمر عداك وعداء الدين وانصر عبادك المجاهدين في كل مكان. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم عليك توكلنا وإليك نبنا وإليك المصير. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. إن الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.